You should be having hard conversations at work like this so that you can learn to have hard conversations at work more simply and with better outcomes for you and others. If you're new here, my name is Jared, and I'm a high school teacher turned leadership coach. Part of my roles over the years has been to teach others how to have many hard conversations successfully. The first question we're going to be looking at today is, what is the hard conversations framework? The framework is called radical candor, and it's created by author Kim Scott in her book, Radical Candor. This is essentially what she says. There is a two-axis framework. On the top, on one line is, do you care personally for people? On the horizontal axis, there is the challenge directly line. The easiest way to wrap your head around this concept is to give you a very specific example. Let's say you're walking around and you're talking to a coworker and you notice that they have really bad breath, which is unusual for them. Well, if you do care for them and do not challenge them directly, that would end up putting you in the ruinous empathy slot. What that essentially looks like is you say in your head, I really do want to tell them that their breath smells, but I don't want to offend them or hurt their feelings, so I'm just not going to say anything. And so as their friend, right, you're not being specific with them or even helping them progress in their own day, because maybe that is going to be a really bad thing for whatever they've got going on that day. Let's say you go down the quadrant and you don't care for them and you're willing to tell them. That would be called obnoxious aggression. Essentially, you would go directly to them and loudly say, hey, your breath really stinks. You might want to consider washing your teeth before you come to work. Total jerk moment. That is also not a place where you want to be. If you move down to the left of the quadrant, that is a place where you really don't care and you really don't challenge them directly. That would look like you noticing that their breath smells, and then going to a different coworker and essentially whispering and quietly talking behind their back, telling others that their breath really stinks that day. And you might even to their face smile directly at them. That would lead you to what Kim Scott calls manipulative insincerity. Ultimately, where this framework is trying to help us go is both care for the people and challenge them directly. And what that would look like for the bad breath analogy is simple. You tell them quietly and privately, hey, I want to share with you because I care in case you want to know. I was talking to you and your breath really does stink. I haven't told anyone, nor will I, but I just wanted to give you a heads up in case you wanted to do something about it. That is what Kim Scott calls radical candor. I think now would be a good time for you to pause the video for a few seconds and ask, where do you fall in this category and why? For me, I realized that my default was ruinous empathy. I really did care for my coworkers, but I lacked a sense of directness. In my upbringing, I was never taught to be direct. It's critical for your success in this to explore what it is that is stopping you from either challenging directly or caring personally. Once you go over that, then the next step is to apply the framework. The first thing is practice this with a few trusted friends. Do not go in and try this with one of the most difficult colleagues you have, or your boss, or some of your direct reports. Practice with those whom you feel safe and trust. I recommend, if you're going to practice this, number one, tell the person that you learned something new about having hard conversations. 2, show them this video or explain the framework to them. 3, ask them if they are willing to let you practice being direct and also caring. And listen, if they say no, that's okay, because you just practiced directness. And by respecting their no, you are practicing caring. If they say yes, then the next time something uncomfortable comes up, be caring and be direct with them. Once you practice this with either a few times with someone or a few times with a few trusted people, it's really important to ask yourself, what would you want to do differently? If you're feeling even more courageous, it would be really helpful to talk to the person and ask them, how could I have said that really uncomfortable thing in a more caring or direct way for you? At the end of the day, remember, every single time you practice this, it's going to be different, because Every individual is different. Every day is different for each individual. And the seasons and stresses that people are facing might require the way you are direct with them to change a little based on what they need. But at the end of the day, the point is that within your control, you are seeking to challenge directly and care personally. In this next section, I just want to give you guys some helpful guidelines to apply this framework that I've learned over the years. Like any kind of development, this stuff takes time to practice and get better at. So be patient and expect yourself to have very awkward and uncomfortable moments as you're practicing this. The next thing is, do not practice this with those who are unsafe or who clearly do not want your best interest in mind, or cannot handle this kind of conversation. I personally remember learning this and being so excited to try this with everyone within my circle. So then I went up to a supervisor. I said, "Can I have a conversation with you?" They said, "Of course." The minute I started explaining the framework to them and talking to them how I wanted to challenge them directly, their body stiffened, they postured differently, they got very tense, their hands curled, and I realized, oh boy, this is not a person I could practice this conversation with. The bottom line of that moment is that conversation did not go well. The next tip I want to give you is embrace the discomfort of what this all is, because it's going to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. It is okay in your journey of growth to be uncomfortable as you are learning new skills. Because as with anything, in order to make good progress, you have to practice. The next thing is to remember that a positive outcome is not guaranteed every single time. But if you keep steady and practice, then others will begin to trust that you care for them, and they will trust in your intentions of your directness. In this video, we explored the question, how do I have hard conversations in a simple way that gets better outcomes? If this video added any value to your life, please hit the like button. My mission here in this channel is to help unlock your potential so that you can be more efficient and effective in life. Please get subscribed to join that mission, and I'll see you guys on the next video.